The church bell rang, its solemn sound echoing through the small town like a reminder that today was no ordinary day. People gathered outside, their voices buzzing with curiosity and judgment. In the center of it all stood Mariana, a bride whose heart beat louder than the music playing inside. She held her bouquet tightly, her hands trembling not from cold, but from the weight of eyes that pierced through her veil. She was not the kind of bride people expected to see in fairy tales or magazines. Mariana was heavy, her figure round and soft, her dress tailored to fit her body rather than a society's idea of perfection. For months, whispers had haunted her steps, mockery in markets, snickers in church pews, laughter that echoed in her dreams. They said she was too fat to deserve a white dress, too big to be the star of a wedding day, too unworthy to be called beautiful. Yet, here she was. Standing at the entrance of a church where love waited for her, a man with eyes only for her soul, not her size. Still, as she stepped forward, the cruel murmurs rose louder. Someone muttered, "She looks like she's suffocating in that gown." Another chuckled, "Poor groom, he must have lost a bet." Mariana's throat tightened, her face burning beneath the veil. Each step felt heavier than the last, as though shame tried to anchor her down. And then, like a spark in the middle of darkness, a small voice rose above the crowd. "Esta guapa, papa." Everyone turned toward the sound. A little girl, no older than 6, held her father's hand tightly. Her hair was braided neatly, her eyes wide with innocence and honesty. She was the daughter of an Apache man, known in town for his quiet strength and proud roots. The girl's words came out pure, untouched by cruelty or prejudice. "She's beautiful, Daddy." The words sliced through the tension like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Mariana froze, her breath caught in her chest. For the first time that day, someone wasn't laughing. Someone wasn't mocking. Instead, someone, an innocent child, had looked at her and spoken the truth her heart had been longing to hear. The father, the Apache man, squeezed his daughter's hand gently and nodded. His deep, calm voice carried across the crowd. "Yes, she is beautiful." His tone was steady, unshakable, like the roots of an ancient tree. The murmurs died. The smirks faded. A hush fell over the people as if the child's words had awoken something buried deep within them. Shame prickled across faces that had mocked just moments ago. And Mariana, standing in the glow of that moment, felt her tears roll freely, not from humiliation, but from a strange, overwhelming gratitude. She continued her walk, but now her steps were lighter. The church doors opened wider as though welcoming her not just into a building, but into a new chapter of her life. Her groom, waiting at the altar, saw her with eyes full of devotion. He hadn't heard the mockery, hadn't cared about the whispers, he only saw the woman he loved, the woman who had healed his loneliness, the woman who was his home. But Mariana's heart still clung to the moment outside, to the voice of a little girl who had spoken with more truth than the entire crowd combined. After the ceremony, when the vows had been exchanged and the kiss sealed their union, Mariana searched through the guests until she found her. The Apache's daughter stood with her father, eating cake with a messy smile. Mariana approached them, her veil now removed, her face flushed from emotion. She knelt down in front of the little girl. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice breaking. "You reminded me that beauty doesn't belong to those who mock, it belongs to those who see with their hearts." The little girl smiled and touched Mariana's cheek with her small hand. "You look like a princess," she said simply, and skipped away to play. The father stayed behind. His dark eyes, filled with wisdom and quiet dignity, met Mariana's. "My daughter has a gift," he said softly. "She sees people for who they are, not what others say. Don't ever let their cruelty define you. Today, you walked with courage. That is beauty no one can deny." Mariana nodded, her tears unstoppable. That moment became etched in her soul, a wound slowly turning into a scar of strength. Years passed, and Mariana carried that memory like a lantern. Whenever doubt crept in, when magazines and billboards screamed lies about worth, when strangers muttered insults under their breath, when her reflection seemed clouded with shame, she remembered the little girl's words. "She's beautiful, Daddy." And she remembered how those words had silenced a crowd. But the story did not end there. Life has a way of weaving circles, of bringing people together again when least expected. 5 years later, Mariana became a teacher in the same town. She loved children, perhaps because she knew their hearts carry truths that adults often forgot. And one day, in her classroom, a familiar pair of eyes looked up at her. It was the Apache's daughter, now older but with the same innocent spark in her gaze. Mariana smiled warmly. "I know you," she said gently. The girl tilted her head, trying to remember. "You were at my wedding," Mariana reminded her. "You told your father I was beautiful." The girl gasped and covered her mouth with her small hands. Then, slowly, she grinned. "That was you?" Mariana nodded. From that day on, the bond between them grew. Mariana became not just a teacher but a friend, a guide, and sometimes even a mother figure. She poured kindness into every lesson, teaching her students that worth was never measured by appearances but by the courage to love and to be loved. And the Apache's daughter, now surrounded by peers, repeated the lessons Mariana had lived: to speak truth when silence is cruel, to defend the dignity of others, and to see beauty where others refuse. One afternoon, as the school year ended, Mariana watched her students playing in the yard. The laughter was free of malice, the kind of laughter that healed instead of harmed. And she realized something profound: the little girl's words years ago had not only saved her on her wedding day, they had ignited a fire that now spread to others. Because sometimes, it only takes one voice, innocent, pure, unafraid, to change everything. Mariana went home that evening to her husband and their own baby daughter, holding her close as tears filled her eyes. She whispered a prayer of gratitude, not just for the love she had found, but for the lesson that a child had taught her: beauty is not defined by size, shape, or standard. Beauty is found in courage, in truth, and in love. And as she rocked her daughter to sleep, she thought of the words that had carried her through the darkest walk of her life. "She's beautiful, Daddy." They echoed in her heart like a blessing, a reminder that no amount of cruelty could ever erase the truth seen through the eyes of kindness. For in the end, it was not the mockery of the crowd that defined her story. It was the courage of a little girl who dared to see beauty where others only saw flaws. And that courage, passed from one heart to another, became a legacy of love that would never fade.